panels came off of an old junked RV. RVs all have inverters. They all have control chargers because even if they're charging off their batteries off the engine or off a generator, they need a control charger and an inverter. And then occasionally you can find them. So those two panels cost us about, I think they were $400.
And you just went to the RV junkyard and said, "Hey, I'm looking for solar panels."
We did it off of Craigslist.
Okay.
Somebody who does RV junkyard scrounging.
Okay.
When
did you do this?
This is in California 2 years ago.
How much do you think you've saved by spending that?
Oh yeah,
$400?
well it is just.
Have they paid for
makes,
themselves
Oh yeah,
yet?
it makes a huge difference. You know, the most expensive thing we did was besides the purchase of the bus, the most expensive system is the solar power, and it makes an absolutely huge difference to be able to have your own power when you stop at night and you can turn on a light. And we really couldn't do this without having our own power because, you know, we have to do emailing, and we also have a system that's set up that, what was I saying? That I have internet wherever I have cell phone reception.
You got the little, like,
I have a little
thing or whatever?
Sprint thing. Mine's Verizon.
Verizon.
And so it's $60 a month, and I have cell phone reception. Anywhere I have cell phone reception, I have high-speed internet. So we couldn't do this project with 3 people without that, because it would be impossible. So we need power, and it's an absolute necessity in order for us to do what we do.
Do you have like excess power, like plenty of power?
Well, like today it's gray and cloudy and stuff like that, and so, you know, it'll be, particularly if it's this way all day tomorrow, by tomorrow night we'll be hurting for power, but that's less the panels and more the batteries. We had a good set of 4 deep cell batteries, and if we had 4 deep cell batteries, we could weather a week of this cloudy stuff.
Really?
But we have two truck batteries. So those 2 truck batteries have a lot less power, and hold a lot less power. And I really think that in alternative energy, the next thing we need to do is really work on storage. How are we going to store power? The batteries, you know, even good deep cells last 10 years, and then they, you know, stop working, and they fritz out, and they hold less and less power, even if they're well maintained, you know, so they're expensive, and so storage is
and
the
how do you
weak
get
point.
rid of them after too?
And then there's disposal issues. So that storage is the weak point in any power system. And, you know, depending on what you're running off of it, you know, if you're just running little lights, you can go down to where they recycle batteries and get batteries that aren't very good. You know, if you're running lights in a squad or whatever, you can get things that are pulling, you know, won't hold quite 12 volts, that are pulling 11.5, and you can hook them up to a solar panel and a little inverter and run lights off of them, or run little DC lights off of them pretty easily as far as lights go. The person who designed our system for us and who taught me as much as I know about solar, he actually has at his place a variety of solar systems. He has the really good one that's like the high end with the super batteries that he's running, you know, a refrigerator off of, and he's running his electronics off of, and then he has the next level down that's like the house lights and those kind of things, and then he has the ones that, you know, are all scrounged batteries that, you know, pulled out of recycled places, and the broken panels with, you know, half the things missing, so they're only producing half the powers they should. And he runs like greenhouse lights or greenhouse fans off of those. Things that aren't, you know, that aren't really critical if they have a little less power. It's not going to fry their little motors and stuff like that. So we always think of power like we think of grid power, which is one, you know, we have to have this steady stream of one kind of power. But really, if you have power systems that, you know, are matched to the need, it's a much more efficient way, and it's a much more scrounge-friendly way of producing power. But, you know, if you're looking at starting to reduce your power bills by setting up your own little small solar systems, and that's what I encourage people to do. You know, it costs a lot of money to do a whole big system that will run your house and a grid feedback and all of that stuff. But, you know, if you can get a couple of panels up and a couple of batteries, and you can start running your computers off of them, or you can run your lights at night off of them. You know, anything you can do to reduce your power consumption is something you do to, you know, as my Uncle Paul would put it, screw the man.
Yeah.
You know, to screw the oil companies, to stop paying them for, you know, destroying the planet. And so there's ways that you can do that. But if you want to do small scale power, in your scrounger RV junkyards.
Place to go.
And our system that cost $2,000 when we put it in would cost a lot less now. Because since we within a year of us putting our system in, the Japanese heavily got into the solar market and started producing it, which has driven the cost of inverters and control chargers down by about 50%. And I have a friend who actually, what they do for a living is solar installation, and they said that they actually had this deal on inverters, and they were going to buy a bunch of inverters, and they realized that they shouldn't because the price is falling so rapidly that they could get, even buying something at wholesale, they could end up getting screwed, because in 6 months they'll be able to get that same inverter for 25 or 30% less than they are right now.
Get them when you need them.
Get them when you need them, because the prices are falling, which I think is a great thing. I think it's great that if we're going to have a market economy, it's great when things like solar power becomes more economically accessible. And it's just become a big enough market, and it's become a big enough fad that the Japanese companies have gotten into it, and now we're producing power.